My name is Samuel, and it is my pleasure to welcome everyone to our engagement session on MICPA Ken's program at Sunway Test. This prestigious program is offered in Sunway Test since January 2019, and our students' numbers has been steadily increasing, comprising of self-sponsored student, corporate-sponsored student, MICPA ETF-sponsored student, Yayasan Peneraju scholars. Trust me, we are all very excited to welcome you to Sunway Test family in near future. All right, so we have a lot of exciting agenda ahead. So sit back, relax, and we hope that you will benefit greatly from today's session. Moving on, I would like to extend a warm welcome to Miss Emily Chong, the head of program, to deliver her welcome remarks. Welcome, Miss Emily.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Miss Emily, head of MICPA program at Summer Test. We are also delighted tonight to have a prominent speaker, Mr. Siu Chinkian from Kpmg, Malaysia with us. Thank you, Mr. Siu. All right, Summer Test started off with the first full-time cohort in term 1, 2019. Summer Test CAE is an integral part of Summer College, which offer internationally well-known professional accounting program. Summer TES stands for Teo Ising, the gentleman on the right side, Mr. Teo Ising. He's our executive director of Sunway College, founder of Sunway Test. In addition, Sunway Test also the so-called plays a vital role in the growth and progress of the accounting profession in Malaysia. As Mr. Samuel mentioned, the first cohort for MICPA was in year 2019, term 1. And we also provide the top class facility for student teaching and learning. In addition, we also provide face-to-face support with first-hand knowledge from experienced lecture from both academic and industrial. And the lecture team provides crucial touch on answering techniques and invaluable guidance to place students into a pinnacle position in their career growth. In addition, we also have the well-equipped library, which is ISO certified on campus, which hosts a collection of e-learning materials, journals, and magazines to assist the student in their learning. All right. Due to the pandemic, we will most likely will start off with the term 2 with hybrid classes. That means online and also face-to-face classes at the same time. There are also internal progress tests and also mock exams, which are set distinctly similar to the actual examination. The result of the test and the exam are actually indicator of the candidate's progress in their study. At Summer Test, we also go through a series of lectures and revision classes. The facilitator will provide and discuss examination questions and techniques during the classes. In addition, we also incorporate the soft skills to prepare our candidates with graduate level skills required for the jobs market. This will include the communication, interpersonal, and interviewing skills. Since the inception of MICPA Ken's program, we have over 20 candidates who have emerged with high scorers. Here's one of the picture that with all the top scorers, and you can see we have 2 gold medal, and also 2 with 22 of them we pass with merit. So MICPA Ken's enrollment is open now, so registration will start on the 16th and close on the 30th of April 2021. Here's a picture of all the corporate suites that we have in Sunway Test. As you can see, we have very close liaison with the Big Five. So we have these corporate suites that are here on campus, and the firm's representative will be here to use them as and when they like. So anyway, these are the pictures of the corporate suites. Okay. As mentioned, the enrollment will be starting soon, so we are open for registration for term 2. So for the full-time as well as the part-time class, part-time classes, and the classes will start mostly on the last week of May. So feel free to contact me. These are our contact numbers, as well as the email address. So back to you, Samuel.
Okay, thank you, Miss Emily, for the informative sharing. Moving on. Next, I would like to invite Miss Eileen, the head of marketing of MICPA Malaysia, to give you a short introduction to MICPA Camps program. Welcome, Miss Eileen.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Summit Test, our partners, and also to Kpmg, our approved training employer, who's been very supportive of the program. We're here today to explain to you all a bit more about the MICPA program and what you can expect. Now, with just a few minutes, I hope the next few slides will give you a better picture of who MICPA is and also some details about the program itself. Now, from this slide alone, you can see that we have a dual qualification. Next to MICPA's logo, you see Chartered Accountants, Australia and New Zealand. So to summarize everything, essentially with one program, you get two qualifications. So before I talk about the program, just wanted to share a bit about MICPA first. So we are actually the only Malaysian professional accounting body. We were established in 1958. And despite being a Malaysian body, we actually are internationally recognized. And we are a founding member of IFAC, International Federation of Accountants. So as a professional body, we have to adhere to international standards in every aspect, the technical regulation of our members, even the program that we conduct. So once you become our member, you can rest assured that your title that you gain from our qualification can be used anywhere around the world. So you get the title Certified Public Accountant. MICPA being a Malaysian body, we play a very important role here. We actually are in constant dialogue with the local regulators because we are familiar with the business environment here, and we need to be because we're supporting our members who are practicing here. And that's why you will notice that in every country around the world, they will have their own local body who will do the same. So whenever there's anything new, we get to provide updates or feedback to the regulators, and we get to update our members in turn in a timely manner. So it is very beneficial and very relevant for you to belong to a Malaysian body in order to practice here effectively. Now, since 2009, we've had a collaboration with CAA and Z. Back then, it was just the Australian CA until they merged with New Zealand CA as well. So that actually opens doors to Australia and New Zealand because those two countries in particular are uh, they are very picky about who they recognize. They only want to recognize their local qualification, and the CA title is the one that you want to have over there. So we've had a lot of our graduates who have this title, MICPA and CANZ, able to go overseas to Australia, New Zealand, and the rest of the world to practice. Okay, so we conduct the joint program as mentioned. So our title is Certified Public Accountant of Malaysia. On top of that, you will also get Chartered Accountant Australia and New Zealand. So it's a two-in-one program. Now, in terms of what we do for our members, I've shared how we get to update our members. So the technical support is critical, and we have a lot of training and events to support and to help our members stay up to date and keep their knowledge current as well. So I'm going to talk about the program next. So as mentioned, it is a joint program, but it also gets to open doors to the Global Accounting Alliance or GAA. So many of you may be wanting a global career ahead. So this program can actually give you access to this. What is the GAA? It's a group of premier accounting bodies that have agreed to support each other's members in that location. So the local support is very important, but imagine you get that globally. Okay, I'll show you a map later to give you more a visual on that, to give you a better picture. So the program comprises 5 modules, and it's the same modules as what's offered in Australia and New Zealand, except that the tax paper is customized to Malaysian tax. So this is something really helpful because when you practice in Malaysia, you want to be proficient in Malaysian tax. So our candidates have said it's really helped them in their work as well to understand how the Malaysian tax system is. Our program is also unique in how it develops well-rounded professionals. We offer open book exams because we don't believe in memorizing. We want you to actually learn to apply your knowledge. Okay, so you learn the theory, but you also have real life business scenarios that you have to apply those theory to. in problem solving and advising your clients, similar to a workplace. And when I mention soft skills here, it's because we have one module in particular, the final capstone module. It's a really interesting one where you have to work as a team with your fellow classmates. We put you in a group and you have to work together to come up with your solution to an assignment as well as a group presentation. So this is really different to all the other programs out there. And it's also how we help you to see things through a real life business case study. And you get to have a bigger picture of how the technical modules are applied in a business. So we allow you to do part-time or full-time study or a combination of both. It's a very flexible program. And you can actually start in year 4, as early as year 4 of an accredited 4-year degree. So we do have some students who choose to start earlier and some who choose to start after they graduate but before they start working. So it's really up to you. You can do this program on a self-study mode, but many of our students actually choose to take up classes, and that's where Sunway Test comes in. So you can sign up for classes with them. And if you're doing full-time study, classes will be on a weekday. If you're doing part-time, that means you're working and studying, classes will be on the weekend. We're very proud of our average passing rate of 70%. It really goes to show that, first of all, we have very good candidates, and I don't think it's because it's an easy course, because our students have said, it is challenging, but the key is really understanding the content. Yeah, no point to memorize. You can bring in all your books into the exam hall, but really it's knowing what the question is asking for and where to look for it. Now, on top of completing the program, you also need 3 years of work experience with an approved training employer, such as Kpmg. So you work for 3 years, either concurrently while completing the program, or if you're doing full-time, you finish the program and then move on to your work experience. But it has to be a mentored practical experience. So that means you have to be registered with MICPA to recognize your work experience. Yeah, so it is important to take note of that. Wanted to share with you about the MICPA Council to kind of highlight about the practical experience, because if you see in our MICPA Council, we have the 6 major firms in Malaysia represented in our council. And so we have built very close ties with all of these employers who do employ a very large number of accounting graduates every year. And so what we do as a professional body is we try to link our candidates to employment as well. And so in fact, we shared many CVs with Kpmg so that students can then join the firm and obtain the necessary 3 years of working experience. So I did mention I would show you a map of the GAA. So this is what it looks like. We have the 10 professional bodies around the world who represent a network of 1 million professionals. So imagine if one day your company sends you, or you decide to apply for a job in one of these countries, you can actually get support in terms of technical updates or resources from them free of charge. They will actually treat you as if you are also one of their members, even though you don't pay fees to them. You actually belong to MICPA and CAANZ. Okay, so this is very useful, and on the left-hand side, you can see a list of offerings that are provided to GAA members. So apart from the technical updates, which is really important, you also get to have a network as soon as you reach that country. So it's something really important as a professional. Once you head out into the working world, you'll realize that professional networks are also very key for your career. So I wanted to also highlight that with MICPA membership, apart from just getting the CPA Malaysia title, you can also use that title to become an MIA member. You will be recognized by LHDN as a tax agent, and you are also recognized by SSM as a company secretary and an insolvency practitioner. We also have reciprocal or recognition agreements with other professional bodies such as ACCA and ICAEW. So that means you can become members of those bodies with your MICPA membership without having to take additional examinations. Okay, so I have mentioned that CANS is the most highly regarded qualification there. The GAA passport gives you that local support globally, and how our exams and the structure of the program, with all the ample resources provided online and everything, it's really meant to help you develop independent learning skills and also that critical and analytical thinking skills. Yeah, so also sponsorships. We do have sponsorships available from time to time. If you heard earlier on, Miss Emily mentioned about Peneraju, Mara. So we have various sponsors that do come on board to partner with us to offer funding for students. And this is especially for those who are studying on a full-time basis, because once you start working and you decide to do MICPAs, employers such as like Kpmg, they do provide sponsorship for you to study the MICPA program. So then you wouldn't have to worry so much about how you want to pay for the fees. The only thing you need to focus on is passing the exam. But for full-time study, it's either self-funded or you get sponsored. Okay, so follow us on social media to stay up to date on all the available sponsorships that come about over the year. Yeah, so that you'll be up to date and you can apply for them. The last thing I want to say is you should definitely choose to do the MICPA program if you want to stand out and differentiate yourself amongst the crowd. Because every year there are just so many accounting graduates entering the job market. You need to choose something that's going to make you stand out from the crowd. And later on, after this, you will hear from one of our members that we're very proud of, Mr. Siu. He will share his experience on how the MICPA qualification has helped him stand out and to reach the heights that he has in his career. So I'm just going to share my contact details here. If you have questions after tonight, feel free to email me at eileen@mikpa.com.my. Our social media links are here. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at the MICPA. You can scan this QR code if you'd like to stay in touch with us and get information emailed to you once in a while. Okay, so thank you very much for your time. Handing the session back to you, Sam.
Okay, thank you, Eileen. All right, okay. Moving on to our main highlight of the night, a sharing session by an esteemed MICPA member, Mr. Siu Chin Kiang, the CIO and COO of Kpmg Malaysia, where he takes you on a journey that highlights his career experiences as a professional accountant, how the MICPA qualification played a part in his career journey, and the motivation behind his success. Before I hand over the session to Mr. Siu, allow me to give you a short introduction of him. Mr. Siu has more than 30 years of audit and advisory experience with KPMG. Mr. Siu is a chartered accountant of Malaysia of the Mr. Siu is a chartered accountant of the Malaysia Institute of Accountants MIA, a member of the Malaysia Institute of Certified Public Accountants, and a fellow of the Association of Certified Chartered Accountants. His professional career has seen him holding various post roles in KPMG, including jointly heading the advisory function, head of people performance and culture, head of East Malaysian offices, and he has also set up KPMG operation in one of the emerging economies. He is currently the chief operating officer and has been driving digital transformation in the firm. Now it is my uttermost pleasure to welcome Mr. Siu Chin Kiang. Mr. Siu, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Samuel. Good evening, students. All right, thank you, Sunway Test and Mikpa, for inviting me this evening. It's a very nice and kind word, Samuel, in terms of my background. This evening, it's my pleasure to share with you, the students, how you can consider building a future. I will take you through a very short clip of my own journey in terms of what I did from the time that I pursued MICPA and how my career has progressed. All right, I will start off with a 2-minute KPMG video, A Story You Live, which sets out attributes of individuals who develop themselves to become future leaders. After that, I'll take you through my personal journey, starting with MICPA and beyond. All right, we will then end off with question and answers, and I look forward to answering some of your questions. With that, let's sit back, relax, and enjoy the video.
This is a story for visionaries, for doers, for those who aspire to greatness. This is a story for those who lead by example, for those who work with passion and purpose. This is a story for anyone who ever watched their mentor turn a challenge into an opportunity and thought, wow, our people really are extraordinary. This is a story for anyone who ever saw a park we helped build and thought, we really are committed to our communities. This is a story for anyone who has felt the higher purpose in what they do, from strengthening capital markets to replenishing our planet, to teaching a child to read, and thought, we really do inspire confidence and empower change. This is a story for anyone who's ever gone up against an incumbent and emerged victorious and thought, our focus on quality really does make a difference. This is a story for anyone who's ever provided insights in days that would have taken others months and thought, we really do drive innovation. This isn't just any story, and it wasn't written for just anyone. This is the Kpmg story. This is what purpose, values, vision, strategy, and promise look like. Not on paper, but in action. Because the Kpmg story is you. And this is not a story you read. This is a story you live.
I hope you liked the video. You catch some of the keywords they used: vision, purpose, passion, values, promise. It's about building your future, building your story. I can relate to these. Let me try to put this in context with my own personal story, my journey, starting with a MICPA qualification and beyond. I will talk about my background, the experience that I acquired, the roles and responsibilities. My journey started 30 over years ago. Right? Straight out from Form 6 STPM, I joined Kpmg and I pursued a MICPA qualification. Way back then, the exam was only offered on a part-time basis where you had to work and study at the same time. All right, today that program has evolved and it's given students a lot more opportunities to consider pursuing it on a full-time basis. At that very start of my journey, that journey, which is where many of you or all of you are at the moment, you need to have purpose. Your key purpose today is to look at how you can pass your exams, learn the fundamentals, build your knowledge. With my exams out of my way after 4 years, the next step of my journey was on experience. Building your future is also about thinking where you want to go, what types of knowledge you want to acquire, the type of jobs and opportunities you want. For me, I can break it down into 3 areas. I wanted some international experience and exposure. I wanted to acquire knowledge in different industries. And I wanted to build my soft skills. With international exposure, I had an opportunity with Kpmg to go on a secondment. I was posted to the United States for 2 years. As part of my career, I also had the opportunity to work on numerous projects within the region, in Cambodia, Singapore, Vietnam, Indonesia, and I even had a project for about 3 months in South Africa. From an industry and business knowledge standpoint, within Kpmg, I had the opportunity to acquire working experience on clients who were involved in banking, insurance, consumer markets, manufacturing. And my learning never ended. It was a continuous journey. In the last few years, notwithstanding the age group that I am in, I picked up technology. Digital transformation was one of the key things which I'm pursuing right now. The third area, which is something that I really was interested in to build my experience and knowledge, was on people, soft skills. As part of your development, you will realize that working with different people, different teams, different cultures, it's very important. The ability to get people to work together, to pursue a common interest, to achieve the goals of the corporation, all right, in order that you can grow, is very important. At that stage, purpose and passion to learn new things, experience different environment, different industries, working with different people was a part of my life. Through that period of my career, earlier on, Samuel had mentioned that I had different roles. One of the greatest things about accountants is that the training that you get, the learning that you have, conditions you and exposes you to be agile and to be able to pick up different things. The types of roles that I have experienced included looking at advisory, looking at people, and many of these were not things that I actually learned, but I had the ability to learn, and I picked up these skills along the way. These roles allowed me to develop myself further and to work towards a vision of what I could do in a new role, transforming what it is today to what it is or what it can be for the future. Notwithstanding all the types of things that I've been doing, the responsibilities that I have, it also taught me that I needed to balance. I had to balance my professional responsibilities and my personal responsibilities. A balance whereby I had to trade my time, I had to manage my time between family, friends, studies, and work. Trade-offs is a part of life. All right. Those were the values that I needed to have, and those were also promises that I made myself. All right. This is a story of my life, a future that I wanted, and I needed to have vision, purpose, passion for the journey. I needed to have strong values, and very importantly, I needed to remind myself or promise myself, what is it that I wanted to do? What is it that I wanted to achieve? Next slide, please. Students, today, these are some of the important points that I want to share. As you continue on your journey as a student, and as you plan to enter the workforce, or as you are in the workforce, you need to look at 3 areas. You need to remember to expand your knowledge boundary. You can see in my sharing that in my journey, I needed to be agile, I needed to be versatile. In the same manner, as you progress in your journey, you will pick up new roles, new responsibility. Remember that knowledge will never be enough. It will always need to be constantly refilled. It's like eating food every day, something new, something different. You need to invest. And I keep repeating that. Invest, invest, invest. Not money, but something even better. Invest in yourself. When I mention investing in yourself, it's about having the right mindset and behavior. You need to recognize that you are responsible to drive your future, responsible to build your own future. Your actions, your efforts today will have a significant impact on that. Remember The amount you invest today in your development will compound. Like money, with compound interest, it will give you a larger asset base if you invest now versus investing later. The last point, which I want to share with you, is about expecting the unexpected. I know it's difficult. We all like to plan and we have certain expectations. But life is not so simple. Life is about being agile, being adaptable. The environment that we are in is constantly changing. The only difference between your generation today and my generation is that change is happening at a much faster pace. Technology has played a great role in that regard. You need to adapt quickly, acquire knowledge constantly, and be agile to change as the environment around you changes. Next slide, please. As you start off your journey to build your future, securing a professional qualification, MICPA, is a very good one to pursue. As mentioned earlier, when I pursued MICPA, one of the things I realized was that a lot of the text and law papers were all localized in Malaysia. That gave me an advantage versus other qualifications. In pursuing MICPA, the exam has got certain elements in it which allowed me to realize that I needed to think out of the box. I had to always read not just from the textbooks, but also from other materials. I had to be agile, I had to be adaptable. Some of the tricks and tips that is listed in front of you came from the recent MICPA students who passed exams. When I asked them about this, this is what they shared. Looking at these points, I started laughing because it hasn't really changed from my time. Plan wisely. This is all about timing. Time. I never had enough time. I wanted to work, I wanted to study, I wanted to party. All right. I don't think it's any different for any of you, but you need to plan your time. There's only 24 hours a day. Communicate. So many of you are probably working and studying at the same time. You need to communicate and engage with your colleagues. You need to manage expectations because you will need some time off. And having been in your shoes, I can understand how difficult it is to be able to manage, to meet deadlines, and at the same time, put aside time to study. Know your schedule. What to study, when to study, requires scheduling. And very importantly, a strong discipline. I know it's hard. I've been there myself. I still remember during my early years when I sat for exams, I was so focused on exams that I actually missed out putting aside scheduling time to study. And to compensate, I literally locked myself up in the library for 12, 15 hours a day just to catch up. All right. That was probably not the smartest thing to do. But having done that, my advice is don't follow what I did. Schedule your time better. I'm sure you can do that. Go all out. Your mindset must be very focused. Treat every exam as the last exam that you're going to take. Focus on it. Put 110% effort. A do or die attitude is what you need to have. Ask around. Engage with your friends. Study groups. Use this to check your understanding of the topics you are studying. Measure your relative progress. Peer pressure is actually very good. It helps you to focus. And finally, never underestimate past year exam papers. Practice makes perfect. The exam papers that you practice on teaches you to manage your timing. It teaches you to strategize and try to understand what the examiners are trying to test you on. From there itself, it would actually help you when you actually sit for the final exams. Next slide. Do keep in touch with my colleagues in Kpmg Malaysia. All right. We are always there to support and help students as they pursue their career with MICPA and as they look for opportunities. Finally, my final slide for the evening before I move to the questions. Next slide, please. Today, I will say that for each and every one of you students, you are living in a world of opportunities. The world today is changing. Changing brings new opportunities. I will ask you, are you ready to seize opportunities when it knocks on your door? Many times, students do not prepare. They wait for opportunities to arrive. But when they do, they suddenly realize that they fall short. You can never plan enough. You can never prepare enough for the future. What you can do is to do your best and invest in yourself. How much you invest in yourself today in terms of building your skill sets, your competencies, all right, that will be very important. The more you invest, the better and stronger and more prepared you will be to build your future for tomorrow. With that, thank you very much, students. All right, this is a little bit about my own journey. Let me open the floor now for questions.
Okay. Right. Thank you, Mr. Siu, for the insightful sharing. We truly appreciate all the valuable experiences and advices shared by you. All right. Okay, moving on. Our final agenda of the night is the long-awaited Q&A session. So if you have any burning question to ask Mr. Siu, feel free to type in the comment section, and I believe Mr. Siu will try his level best to address all your questions. Also, we have the team from MICPA as well. Should you have any question related to the MICPA program, so we'll give you 2 minutes to type in your question. Then we will address the question accordingly. Any question from the floor? You can actually unmute yourself to ask Mr. Siu himself as well.
Hi, Vinny.
Okay. All right, Mr. Siu, we have a question here. I'm a fresh graduate and getting job here is pretty hard, and I'm just a moderate CGPA scorer. Anything I can do for my better future? Any advice for her, Mr. Siu?
Well, Vinny, I presume you are an accounting grad. What is your passion? All right. You need to start taking a step back to also identify what the current market is actually looking for today. All right. Right now, many accounting firms, many organizations are looking for accountants with some degree of digital or technology skills. I would suggest that you look at picking up a bit more knowledge on areas like data analytics, RPA, and also try to understand a bit more about artificial intelligence. Data analytics especially is actually something that can be easily acquired in terms of knowledge by going and watching videos. Go to YouTube. YouTube has a wonderful series and it's free. Many of my own people who are in the data analytics team, they actually learn and pick up skill sets from there. Why I say that's important is because the future of accounting today is very much integrated with technology. Accounting is no longer so much standalone, but we use technology to make ourselves better accountants.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Siu.
Hope that helps, Vinny.
All right, moving on. Okay, thank you, Mrs. Yu. Moving on, I am Afrina. What makes you stay motivated? What in this field, and how do you balance your work and your personal life?
How do I stay motivated? I think accounting profession can be as exciting or as mundane as you want it to be. All right, I'm someone who likes to learn new things. All right, if you could say I'm a busybody or Kpo or whatever, but I just like to go out there, talk to people, find out how businesses are done, and I engage, people, just talk to them. So I think my motivation is that each time I get to understand things a little bit better, different perspective, and that keeps me interested. If it was a 9-to-5 type work, it probably would not suit my character. So you probably need to ask yourself, what motivates you in the job you're pursuing? All right, and qualifying with an accounting degree, all right, actually is a very good base qualification because it really allows you to do many different things. So find the one that motivates you, find the one that you're passionate about. How do I balance my work and my personal life? I think many people talk about work-life balance, but what does work-life balance actually mean? For me, when I look back, in my early years, it was probably 80% work, life was 20%. All right, or maybe I would say maybe 50% work, 30% studies, and 20% partying. All right, but as I progress in my career, all right, that balance will change. All right, and that balance change according to what is the priority at different stages of your journey, of your life. Midway, when I was a manager and I was married, I had to balance time off. All right, I had to put aside time. And one of the things that many people ask me in terms of why I never picked up golf. I'm one of the few partners in my firm that do not play golf. And my explanation is very simple. Do you know how much time it takes to pick up golf? It is a sport whereby you need to constantly be on the golf course, and you will spend at least a day, if not at least half a day on the golf course. I had to decide whether I wanted to spend it on the golf course or to spend time with my kids when they were growing up. So it's again choices in life that I made. So you look at what's important to you, you look at how you want to prioritize it, and you balance it accordingly.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Yu, for the very good advice to them. All right. Okay, moving on. There is actually some question that is, I think students are quite shy to actually type in there.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I got it from the text messages. Okay, Mr. Siu, the next question will be, how important is a professional accounting qualification like MICPA to accounting firms like Kpmg?
Very important. Professional qualifications is, if you ask me, a recognition that you have certain baseline knowledge, which is recognized by accounting bodies. And the reason for that is because if I were to say like Malaysia, just an accounting degree itself, unfortunately, is not enough for us. That there are so many universities in the country today, and the extent and depth of the accounting program, all right, varies from one university to another. A professional qualification gives us a more consistent benchmark and a baseline quality that we are assured of. You know, as Eileen from MICPA mentioned, you know, MICPA is part of GAA, I think, if I'm not mistaken, which is like a global association of accounting boards. So to stay there, to be recognized, you know, that there's an expectation that they will meet certain requirements and they have to I believe, report compliance. So that's why this is important for us, you know. And I can tell you that in all countries, you know, the countries that I worked in the United States, and speaking to my counterparts in the UK, in Australia, it is the same. In any country that you go to, the so-called more distinguished or more reputable and experienced accountants will more likely than not have a professional qualification.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Siu. The next question is actually, what support does Kpmg provide for the MICPA program?
What support? Well, first of all, we do finance from a financial standpoint. All right, there is a certain amount that we will pay. I think it's 15,000, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It's 18.
Oh, it's 18,000.
It's 18.
Oh, inflation.
Yeah.
It's gone up.
Even higher, even
Okay.
higher, even better.
Yeah, even better. So it's 18,000, and we also provide study leave. Okay. Other than the time off and the financial support that we give, please also recognize that when you work with organizations like ours, you also benefit from the work experience. You know, one of the things about professional qualifications and for MICPA, I realized that the experience that I have in working, all right, actually was very relevant. It helped me to appreciate the questions that were being asked, and it allowed me to actually answer it based on my practical experience. So from a Kpmg standpoint, we give you financial support, we give you time off and the work experience to help you. But while we give you that, you also need to give yourself time. You also need to give yourself focus to be able to put all of that together in order to pass the exams. You know, we can only do so much, but the ball is always at your feet.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Siu. The next question, Mr. Siu, will be, good evening, Mr. Siu. I am Melvin. What are your tips on balancing studies and work life? I will presume, I think he's considering to study part-time. So what are the advices that you can give for him to balance between his studies and his work life?
When I studied and worked many years ago, I have no idea how I managed to do that. You know, in today's environment, perhaps there were, I'm fortunate, like those days there's less distractions. Like, you know, we don't have Dota, we don't have Netflix, you know, but key to it, I believe, is being disciplined. You know, balancing studies and work life is not easy. If anyone tells you it is, don't believe that person. It's never easy. All right, you really need to be disciplined. You really need to be very determined that this is something that you want to do, and you just want to put that discipline in play for about 3-4 years and just get it over with. All right, I cannot think of any other ways that you can achieve that. You know, stay focused, stay disciplined.
Okay, Melvin, stay focused, stay disciplined. I think that's the key takeaway from Mr. Siu's reply to your question. All right. Okay, next, from question from Wen Wei. Okay, Mrs. Yu, I think maybe she just want to have a little bit insight for what is there any differences between MICPA, ICW, and ACCA?
All three are professional exams. You know, MICPA is obviously our Malaysian homegrown exam. ICAW and ACCA is from the UK. If I were to compare all three, you know, MICPA would be equivalent to like a Malaysian chartered qualification, and more closely aligned to ICAW. All right. The history of ICAW and ACCA and why there's two, that I'm not very familiar with. But nonetheless, what is important is that all three are globally recognized.
Okay, Wen Wei, I hope Mr. Siu has replied to your question. All right. Okay, Mr. Siu, I have two more direct messages. Guys, I do not know why you all direct messages me.
Keep it coming.
Should just post to everyone. Okay, this question, he put, hello, Mr. Siu. Previously, I am an audit assistant in SME audit firm. I would say I really enjoy working in audit field. I have conflict, especially this time during pandemic, whether getting working experience or furthering my professional level would be a right decision. Okay, I think maybe she wants to know whether is it a right time at the moment to further her studies, or is it better to get working experience now, or to further her studies? I guess so.
Okay, if you haven't fully finished your exams, I personally would encourage you to focus and finish your exams first. At a certain early stage of your life, I think it's easier. I won't say it's easy, but it's easier to start studying. Once you are full-time working, going back and starting to study again, it's more challenging. You know, I have tried that. You know, it was, you know, a few years back when GST was introduced, I decided I wanted to sit for the GST course, training course offered by customs, and they required me to spend my weekends, 4 weekends in a row, sitting down in a lecture hall and just listening to the trainers teach us about, you know, the rules on GST. In my late 40s, it is terrible. You know, I kept asking myself, why am I doing this at such a late stage in my life? You know, it's once you reach a certain age, sitting down for such prolonged periods difficult. So for you, if you're asking whether you should finish off the studies or continue working first, finish off your studies, get that out of the way, then focus full-time on work.
Okay, all right, thank you, Mr. Siu. I hope that answers your question, Anonymous. All right, next question also from Anonymous, also direct messages, is Mr. Siu, can you share your journey? Can you share your journey from your decision to pursue MICPA Pro and to pursue accounting to how you ended up doing MICPA program? So I think she wants to know what makes you choose MICPA to pursue MICPA program in your journey.
It was very simple. It was a financial decision. During my time, when I finished off from STPM, the only way I could get a free education was to pursue MICPA, because those days the accounting firms paid for fresh, well, for STPM leavers. If you work and work with them, they will pay the full cost of all your studies. So it was a financially driven decision.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Siu. Next question is from Yan Ru. Hi, Mr. Siu. Do you recommend students to study full-time for MICPA qualification? Because by the time I graduate from my accounting degree and complete MICPA qualification, I would be around 26 years old, entering the workforce a bit late as compared to my peers. Oh. Do you
That
recommend
is a,
students to study full-time for MICPA
yeah.
qualification?
Yanru, I think you need to ask yourself a very difficult question. Do you think you are able to manage your time for you to balance working and studying at the same time? All right. If you can, then go for it. If you are not confident of being able to do that, then I would strongly suggest you do it full time. Working and studying is definitely not easy. For someone who has gone through those days, again, I have no idea how I managed to do that. You know, perhaps as a young man many years ago, I was a bit more focused and more determined. It was a do or die attitude that I had. All right. Eileen mentioned that the pass rates are at 70% nowadays. During my time, in a good year, it's 25%. An average year is between 15 to 20%. And it's very uncomfortable. You know, I still remember before we entered the exam halls, we all of us used to play a psychological game with one another. You'll stand next to three other persons and tell them, you, the three of you are not going to pass. I'm the one that's going to make it. You know, it wasn't just about studying, but a psychological game. But those are different times. Today, I think 70% pass rate is actually very good. And I attribute that to the way the program has changed. It allows you to, I think, also accumulate papers that you pass rather than in the past when it was a situation whereby you sit for 5 papers. If you fail one, you're considered as having failed all 5. Those were very extreme and different days. Think about it. If you believe you are disciplined enough to manage your time, then that is a decision you make. But if you are not so certain, then focus on getting through, because it's just a couple of years. All right, and notwithstanding you may be a bit older, you know, you are never too late or too old, all right, to enter the workforce, all right, and to build your competencies.
Okay, Mr. Siu, thank you for your advice. There's another question here also about similar like Yanru. Mr. Siu, in your opinion, is it from KPMG point of view, is it important for a degree student like me to pursue professional qualification like MICPA before joining your company?
As a fresh graduate, you need to get a professional qualification. All right, because you have a degree, I think the base knowledge is already there. So in that kind of situation, you know, you probably want to explore working and studying at the same time. But you do need a professional qualification.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Siu. I think the final question that we're going to take tonight, I think this is going to be for Miss Emily. Good evening, everyone. I'm Sophia. If I were to enroll in the MICPA Camps program in Sunway Test, what are the process that I have to go through?
Okay. Hi, Sophia. It's very simple, yeah. So basically, you just have to bring along your certificate and transcript starting from SPM until your degree. Then just drop by the office. Yeah, we open over the weekend also from 10 to 4. Yeah, and over the weekdays is from 8:30 to 5:30. So just bring a set of your credential plus to fill up a application form. That will do. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Emily. So yeah, let me see. Okay, that's the end of the Q&A session. I don't see any more question coming in. All right. Okay, okay. Once again, Mr. Siu, thank you very much for answering all the Q&A session. all the Q&A from the participants. Before we end the session, I would like to request for a group photo. So if you don't mind, participants, for those who are okay, can you please turn on your camera for just 1 or 2 minutes for us to take a quick screenshot for tonight's session. Right? Anyone else wants to on your camera and join us? There you go, Melvin. Melvin, I remember you. I interviewed you.
Yeah, Mr. Samuel.
Yeah, I just saw you this afternoon. Okay. Okay, good to see you here.
Still look fresh.
Yeah. All right. Okay, I think that's all. Anyone else want to open? Hi, One Way. Sophia is here. Okay, I think that's all. All right, so ready, guys? Smile. We will take a screenshot now in 3, 2, 1. Okay, one more time. Maybe for those who don't want to open camera, can you maybe react? Put a thumbs up. So it can look better in my screenshot. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. All right. Okay, thank you, everybody. Okay, so all right, I hope all of you have benefited greatly from tonight's session. Once again, thank you, Mr. Siu and the team from Kpmg for your support. We truly appreciate all of you taking the time on a Friday night, to come and share, especially Mr. Siu. Tonight is a Friday night. You taking the time to come and share for all the MICPA students or future MICPA students. We really truly appreciate your time. All right, for the rest of you, for more information on MICPA program, please feel free to contact Miss Emily or me via the email addresses. I already typed the email addresses in our chat box. Feel free to drop us email if you want to know more about the program structure. You want to know more about the fee structure, or you can always drop us an email. Or if you are around Sunway, like what Miss Emily saying, you can always drop by to Sunway Test office. Our office from Monday to Friday, we are open from 8:30 to 5:30. And on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., you can always walk in and you can ask, look for me or Miss Emily. We will be glad to actually see you and actually to talk to you more with regards to the program. Okay, that's it. All right, with that, thank you once again, and we hope to see all of you in Sunway College very soon. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I wish all of you a pleasant evening. Good night, everybody. Take care.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you, Mr.
Bye-bye,
Siu.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
Yeah.
Have a good weekend.
You too.
Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
Thank you, Kyle.